Welcome to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jesse Green, the show where great dentistry meets great business. Listen in each week as we bring you an inspiring person who will share their story, ideas and business techniques to help you create a practice and a life you love. And now introducing your host, Dr. Jesse Green.
Hi everyone, it's Jesse Green here. Welcome back to SavvyDentist.com and to the Savvy Dentist podcast, the show where great dentistry meets great business. My guest today is Dr. Sonia Yadav, and Sonia is well known in the dental profession throughout Australia. And this is a conversation actually that I've been wanting to have for quite a while. Sonia is someone who I've met a few years ago, someone who I've followed her adventures on social media and seen what she's been up to. And what I really love about Sonia is the passion and the enthusiasm that she brings to life. Sonia is what I would call, in the best possible way, a force of nature. She's got so much energy, she's got so much determination, she's got so much drive, and she's a really, really wonderful human being. And I really like her outlook on life. I love her approach to business. And I love, as I said, I love her energy and her joy that she brings to all that she does. So in this conversation, we talk about her journey as a business owner, firstly in India, moving out to Australia where she didn't have the language, some of the things that she's had to go through and challenges that she's encountered, lots and lots of life lessons in all of this that are really relevant and pertinent to anyone in life and in business. And there's so much practical information that Sonia shares that I know is going to be really helpful for other people on their journey as well. And Sonia is really generous with what she shares, and she's really open about her story. And again, I really appreciate and admire that about her. So Sonia is someone who I really admire, someone who I really respect, and I hope you enjoy this conversation with Sonia as much as I enjoyed having it with her. So here she is, Dr. Sonia Yadav. Sonia, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come and hang with us. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Jesse, and thank you for the opportunities. I'm looking forward to it. Just having a chat.
Me too. As I said to you off air, I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite some time, and it's nice that that opportunity has come around. So thank you once again. I'm really glad. Now, I do have something I want to ask you off the back. Now, I've kind of just deviated from my own process right up front, because normally I would ask someone as the first question on podcast to tell us a little bit about your background, and I will ask that in a moment. But I wanted to ask you because I know you as Sonia Yadav, but I also know that you go by Sonia Sonia. And I'm just curious to ask how that came about.
So my official name in Australia is Sonia Sonia, Sonia Yadav. So yes, Yadav is my family name. But when I was getting my passport done in India, they actually didn't think my surname was important. So they just missed it.
Oh.
So when I didn't think of it much. So when I came to Australia, they said, we need a surname. And I said to them, no, just Sonia is fine. And they said, no, we really need a surname. And I'm like, Yadav. And they said, but it's not on your passport.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, that's my surname. So they said, you know what? We'll put you Sonia Sonia. So we'll use your given name as your surname as well. And when I came to Australia, I had limited English. I literally couldn't speak English properly.
Wow.
So that became a conversation starter. So everyone just will say to me, what is your name? And I will say Sonia Sonia. And it's like, no, like surname. And it actually really started the conversation. So I stuck with it.
Wow. That's really fascinating, isn't it? So it's almost like a clerical error that led to that.
It was clerical error. And now, because I travel around the world, people literally can't figure out where I am from. So imagine this girl whose name is kind of Spanish, like Sonia Sonia, and then she speaks in a Aussie kind of slang and she looks Indian.
Yeah.
So I really confuse people with that. So I love it.
I think that's
I absolutely love it. I'm a global citizen now.
You are indeed. And I know you travel a lot. Let's talk a little bit about you coming over from India. You didn't have much English, as you just mentioned, when you came across. What was that like, stepping off the airplane, kind of not being able to communicate as you would normally have communicated back at home?
It was difficult. And honestly, Jesse, when I look back, I really think shit, what did I do? As soon as I landed on the airport, I didn't have the phone. The guy who was picking me up, he didn't arrive to pick me up. So I was standing on this Brisbane airport, can't speak English, have no phone to call back home. And I didn't know where to go.
Oh, wow.
Honestly. So there was this lady who was kind enough. She gave me her phone. I called back home and I got in connection with someone. So I couldn't even communicate to a airport official to say, hey, how do I actually use your local phone with the coins I have?
Wow.
And from there on, I went on and I did every single job you can think of. Like I worked in a petrol station. I worked in 7-Eleven. I have cleaned toilets. I have worked as a kitchen hand. So I can make bread naans and I can make Indian curries.
Yeah.
And I can flip burgers if you want me to. I've worked as a waitress. And in the evening, I will just sit in front of the ABC TV and just listen to the news again and again and again to learn how we speak English in Australia.
See, that's really fascinating. And firstly, what determination. So that's really quite amazing. And what an adventurous spirit you must have had to go to a foreign country, not be able to speak the language necessarily, to be migrating and then get to the airport and think, where is everyone? That's a bit of a baptism of fire. So in those early years in Australia, Sonia, you mentioned you had a lot of jobs, 7-Elevens, flipping burgers, cleaning toilets. Had you qualified as a dentist in India prior to arriving?
Yes, I was actually a dentist and I had a practice in India. Mm-hmm. So before I came to Australia, I just gave it to someone. So I was actually a business owner when I came to Australia.
So you'd already learned a lot, which is, obviously contributing to the massive business success you've had here in Australia as well. And one of the things I'm really interested to ask this, Sonia, because what is it about migrants that make them so hungry for success? Because it just seems to be, Australia is obviously a migrant nation where, apart from the Aboriginals, we're all migrants of some form or another. And what I've noticed is that, in the post-war years, there was the Greeks and Italians. They did very well. And as years go by, there's been an influx from different countries around the world. And invariably, many of them have gone on to great success, as you have. What is it that drives you?
The big difference I have seen is in perspective. So when I came to Australia, for the first time ever, coming from a country where it's a more male-dominating country. Mm. And I remember coming to Australia and I went to the Brisbane city and I saw girls wearing clothes which even our actresses were not wearing in the movies. And they were so confident. Mm. Like people have a different kind of cultural shock. I had a cultural shock. Oh my God, this is the place I want to stay.
Yeah.
And like I sat in the city till 11 o'clock in the night. And then I rang my husband because I came alone. And then I rang my husband and I said to my husband, it's like, I'm not coming back.
So you better come out
and
here.
And he's like, what? And I said, no, I'm staying. And he said, why? And I said, this is heaven. This is the safest place on the earth. And then I realized that, yes, we talk about that, women doesn't have equality and the rights. But where I come from, this was safe and this was heaven and you could do anything. So my perspective when I saw Australia was like, there are so many opportunities. You can do anything. And that literally drives me that, if you want to give up, then you give up. Otherwise, there is no reason for you to give up. As long as you're committed, you're driven, and you have the right intentions, what you want to achieve, the success is yours. Whatever your definition of success is, then now no one is stopping you. So I think migrants just see the world in a different, view. And that's what we see, so many opportunities where people believe, oh my God, there is no opportunity. Like COVID-19 is massive.
Massive opportunities.
Yes.
Okay. So Sonia, one of the things I've always admired about you is your drive, your determination, and it's almost like, and I mean, this is a big compliment. I mean it as it's like you're a force of nature. You've got this endless amount of energy, right? And
thank you.
And I know that you've got a very full life. You've got a husband, you've got kids, you've got multiple practices. You've got a lot on your plate. And there'll be some people listening to this podcast and thinking, how on earth does she fit it all in? And so I'm curious to ask, how on earth do you fit it all in?
So there are many, many things, Jesse. One is I honestly say, like, some days I can conquer the world and some days I can't even do my grocery list. I drop my phone on my face, like, and that is the acceptance you have to have, that you're not the same person every single day. There are failures as well. There are low days as well. The second thing I find, and this is specifically for women business owners or especially women who are driven, that we forget to ask for support. We support our family, we support our husband, we support our kids. We're so much into giving that when it comes to the time where we need support, we forget to ask. So I remember when I bought my first practice, my daughter was 4 months old.
Oh, wow.
And so I really sat down with my family, my sister, my brother-in-law, my husband, and I said to them, look, this is what I want to do. And this is what I'm planning to do. So I will need your full support. And from there on, that they're in your team, you will have troubles, you will have hiccups where you will hear sometime when you're whinging and you're crying and they're like, we never asked you to do this. And be ready for that question as well. And I meet so many women business owners who have families and everything, and they say, but people don't understand. And I say to them, it's like, why should they? Why do you put that responsibility on them that they should understand what your life is like? No, you chose this life. So I actually chose this life. I wanted to be. I cannot see myself as a full-time mom. And that's what I told my husband. And I will use some words here, but I said to him, like, you can have a shitty wife and a shitty mother, or you can have a really happy wife and a happy mother. So I will find my balance. And he was okay with it. And he still supports me in that. So no one will understand. I want to have a business. I want to have, beauty pageant. I want to travel the world. I want to have kids as well. So this is my choice. This is my life. So ask for help, ask for support, and I do.
Which I think is a really important lesson. And I agree with you. I think women generally have found themselves in a role where they're often providing support and sometimes, yes, they might forget to ask for support, but as a man, sometimes we forget that they want support as well, right? And not in a, I don't mean that to sound like I'm being disrespectful to men, but sometimes, that those roles are so ingrained that we've got to break out of those stereotypes and understand that everyone needs their support.
We also need to understand, Jesse, that our DNA hasn't changed much. So from the primitive days and our grandparents, the males are raised to be the provider of the family in terms of money.
Yep.
Females are raised to be the nurturer of the family. Yes. And it doesn't go away from your DNA.
No.
It doesn't. So say, for example, I will say that, my husband walks out of the house for a full-time job and he will not have that emotional guilt. But if my daughter is 4 months old, I will.
Yeah.
And it's because just that I have this in my DNA that as a mother, I should be there. But as long as you come to the terms with yourself that, okay, this is part of my life, then you can actually get rid of that emotional baggage as well. And you can ask for help and your male partner will provide your help. Like, I have seen, what we do and we are very good at it. We will be in the kitchen, we'll be cooking and we will say to our partners, and male does the same thing as well. It's like, oh yeah, I want to talk to you about something. Oh, I'm thinking of buying this practice. This is how the conversation goes. And when you ask them, did you actually really sit down and talk? No, we did. And he said, yeah, okay. How long was the conversation? 10 minutes over the kitchen desk.
Yeah.
So you're taking major decisions of your life. Just because it's your partner, you don't think that you need to sit down and you need to talk to them and, discuss the whole thing. So
why do you think that happens?
Because we take each other for granted. Like I will say, my husband is actually on the bottom of my list. So yeah, but I did understood initially that there is no way that without the family support with a little child that I could do this. So I really took time to actually sit down and time to time, because, my husband says that it's not that you're stuck to one thing or you finish one thing. It's like you will suddenly come home and you will say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm participating in this beauty pageant. So he's like, you change things. So I have found the way that, yes, we really need to sit down and talk rather than just coming home and disclosing it to him that I will be flying to US and participate in a beauty pageant.
Guess what? It's a really interesting thing though, isn't it? Because, and I think that this is a common thing, and certainly in my own relationship, I've experienced this as well with my lovely wife. We do tend to take each other for granted sometimes. We don't give each other the time that we give so many other people, right? And we give all that time to other people. And certainly in the past, I've been guilty of that as well. One of the things, Sonia, that I really do, again, we've known each other for a while. I've followed all your adventures, and you seem to have a lot of adventure in your life, which is excellent. And really something that you said a bit earlier I really liked, and that is that, you get to choose to have your life, and you can either have a shitty wife or a shitty mother, but if you let me go and do these things, I'm going to be a better person, which means I'll be a better mother, better wife, and so on. And I think for all of us, there is something in each of our lives where we've got to be true to ourselves as well. And I love the fact that you've been true to yourself in that journey.
Thank you.
I want to ask you about the beauty pageants, because I've seen all the photos and they're fabulous photos, and you look amazing. Not only do you look amazing, you look really happy, right? You look really happy within yourself. You look really well. And beauty is obviously deeper than skin deep, right? And so I wanted to ask you what beauty means to you.
Beauty really means to me is when you're happy, when you're joyous within yourself and you ooze that out. And I remember that was the phase as well. The beauty pageant phase is that, that there is no way. It's not the external beauty. It's the energy and the charisma you ooze out that people are just drawn to you. And not just drawn in the sense that, oh my God, she's just beautiful, drawn in the sense as well that we can actually approach her and go and talk to her as well. So approachable in a sense that people are actually literally drawn to you, that they can come. And I have people, as I say, I've traveled around the world. I can open conversation and people can just talk about their life, which they say, I don't know, why am I talking to you about this? And it's just because I'm clean. I'm very clear with my life, but I'm very clean as well. That, okay, you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. There is no judgment there. There is nothing. Beauty pageant world has two sides to it. One side is all this glamour and everything, but the second side also is the charity. I have seen an 8-year-old going door to door and raising $30,000 for cancer.
Wow.
I have met people from 42 different countries, and they're running amazing charities and not-for-profits. And if your beauty doesn't allow you to be approachable, and you have this head up in the cloud and it's like you're a beauty queen, it's like you're good for nothing. So beauty to me is when someone can actually come and approach you and talk to you or ask for help. That's what beauty stands for me.
Yeah, I really love that. And again, it's so much more than the physical. The physical is there, and of course, everyone looks amazing when they're all, they've done their thing, and it's great. But I really appreciate what you've just said there about being much more than that, being able to be approachable, to be able to radiate that confidence and that charisma, and to draw people in and to help people and to support people. And again, we're going back to that word support, but I think there's a bit of a service theme coming through your life here, but anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. What sort of transformation did you experience? What did you learn going through that? Because I imagine that there would have been as you get made up and dressed up, there's a physical transformation, but what was the emotional and mental transformation?
So, if you remember, Jesse, the first time we had conversation, it was 2017.
I remember.
DPO.
Yeah, it was.
And that was my practices, my businesses were fantastic. And that was the phase when I went down in depression and I wasn't actually very happy. I was not in a very happy place. So actually DPO was my escape.
Oh, nice.
I was just get out from this. And we had a really nice party at the end.
We did.
And I was drunk and I met one of the girls who was a previous beauty pageant and I applied online that night. So see, alcohol can have really bad effects on you as well. But what I realized there in DPO and listening to you, listening to Win Jiang was another one there and that he opened my eyes about certain things as well. And one thing Win Jiang said was, imagine if your life was 80 seconds. You've already lived 35 and last 15 seconds, you cannot do anything. So he said, you pretty much only have 30 seconds to live. So what are you waiting for? And then I realized that in chase of life, and all these titles and all these business and success, our dreams fade away. And I went back that night and I said, what I was like when I was 15 or 17. Because I remember, like, you know, my mom used to say that I have not seen a kid like you. My mom was a teacher. And she said, you know, you have this conviction, like nothing is impossible for you. So I really rang up my mom.
Oh, wow.
I asked my mom and I said, Mom, what was I like? Because I've forgotten what I was like when I was a young teenager. And that's what my mom said to me. My mom said, nothing was impossible for you. Nothing. My mom is like, if you had to crack the exam to get into a medical school, you will have a bath with the ice cold bucket water because you just wanted to study. And she said, you were just so driven. And I was like, okay. So I realized that I used to sit in the night till 3:00 and watch Miss Universe.
Ah, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes. In India, it used to be early morning. So I will wake up and I will watch Miss Universe every year. And my mom used to say, what do you watch it for? The girls parading in gowns up and down. But as a middle-class Indian girl, you don't go and participate in a beauty pageant. So that was my dream. And then I realized that, okay, why can't I do it now? Yes, I'm a mother of 2 kids. I'm married. I'm a bit like, you know, not fit enough, but I can still do it. So I applied for it and then I worked hard for it and I got into. So I'm chasing my dreams again.
That's fantastic. And what did that hard work remind you of? What, you know, obviously I don't know what the hard work involved, but I'm curious to ask, what was the hard work and what did you take away from that process?
So one thing I take away from that process was when I first time applied for it, I failed. I didn't even place in top 10 in Australia.
Okay.
And I was devastated because I did really work hard. But and then I came back and I realized that I worked hard, but I actually never believed that I could win it.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think. And like, you know, I'm a Indian girl, I'm a mother, but you're standing against supermodels, which are like Caucasian. They look Barbie dolls. Like I call them Barbie dolls. They are Barbie dolls. They literally actually look like Barbie dolls. So when I looked at them, and I never wore heels. So I just bought heels and I was shaking on the stage like I couldn't even speak properly. So I actually didn't believe I could win. So I remember coming back, spending 2 weeks reflecting and thinking. And then I went and I changed my whole wardrobe. So Monday I rocked up at the clinic and I talked like a beauty queen. Since that day, I lived my life as I have already won the title. And for me, it was literally living that vision. And within 2 months, I won 2 titles and I was participating and representing Australia in US.
That's fantastic, isn't it? That's so wonderful. What a great lesson.
So it's the mindset.
It's totally the mindset, yeah. Do you know who that reminds me of, actually? Have you ever read much about Arnold Schwarzenegger's story?
Yes, I have.
And he had the same mindset. He walked around as though he'd already won the competition. He assumed the persona of Mr. Universe. And that's exactly what you did. So again, I really, really think that's a powerful lesson. So if you're listening to this podcast, ladies and gents, please go back and listen to what Sonia said a moment ago, because there's some really wonderful advice, some sage advice around success and how to step into that. So thank you, Sonia. That's great. I'm also curious to ask about your practices, because you do own a couple of practices. You're a multiple practice owner. I'm wondering what drove you to go from one to multiple.
So all my practices have been bought when I was on pregnancy hormone.
All right. I've got so many things I want to say, Sonia. I've got so many cheeky things I want to say. Maybe your husband needed to go and see the doctors or something.
First one I started when my daughter was 4 months old, and every single person on this earth said no, including my husband.
Yeah.
He wouldn't give me the money. My accountant, my lawyers, everyone said no. And I was like, no, going for it. I'm buying it. That's it. Done. And I paid more money than I should have for that practice.
No.
It was a kind of a closed down practice. And I took the challenge and there was no going back. I quit my job and I started this one. And then the 2 more practices, actually I bought within a week apart. 2 practices within a week apart when I was 6 months pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
And I already have 1 child. So I think a lot more to the hormones in that.
Okay, all right. Any more children plans, Sonia?
No more. I think that's why I stopped buying practices as well. No more kids, no more practices. It's like I'm back to my senses now.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So no, I think I saw the opportunities.
Yeah.
I really saw that these practices were run down. They were not looked after.
Yeah.
So I believe that, yes, I could turn them around and I could actually do better with them. And then I took up the challenge, and it's harder than you think, especially if you have never actually owned a business of that scale, or, a business who has no signage, no digital, nothing. It's just pretty much run down. So I'll put my hand up and I'll say I underestimated it. Especially the first one. With the second ones, I had and third one, I had a bit of experience. But with the first one, I really actually underestimated it. And I jumped into it with no mentors like, you or, Prime Practice or Ingrid. And I started with no knowledge of how to hire people. So I have done, my mistakes where I've hired the wrong people. I won't say actually wrong people. I will say people who actually didn't align with my vision. They didn't align with my dream. So people were driven. Everyone who comes to the job, they want to work hard, and they came in. But I don't think I was a very good leader back then. I was more kind of a boss person. And honestly, I didn't know half of the stuff what I was doing. So,
well, that's because no one teaches it at uni, do they? No one teaches it.
No one teaches it. And it's just like, you're trying to do all those things as well and run the practice, and then the frustration builds up. So honestly, I could have, if I had all the knowledge which I have now, I would have contributed more to the practice and more to these people's lives as well.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about being a leader versus being a boss, because I think that's a really interesting distinction that you've just made. And I think it's an important distinction. How do you see the differences?
So I was a boss because you do that because I want you to do that. And I pay your bill. And the story ends here. A leader takes you on a journey. So I remember I wanted to apply for business awards, and my team said, "You're kidding me?" Every single person in the team, they said, "We're not a business, we're healthcare." And I said, "No, we want to do it. And I want to do it." And so they said, "Why?" And I don't think so they believed me at that time. Actually, they just said yes. I communicated the message with them because honestly, my practice was built around me. I worked 6 days a week in that practice. There was no way I could actually get out of that practice. So practice, I was the practice, and I needed to get out of the practice to do other things.
Yes.
So how do you build a brand? So it's like if you go into a movie store, Jesse, and you say, "Okay, I want top 7 movies." People will say, "This is a pile and these are all Oscar winning movies." You will automatically think that they're good movies. So I needed to create a brand. And that's when I communicated with my team that, we work so hard. Our patients love us. And if we actually can put something which says that you're the best customer service in the area, then you don't need my name for this practice to survive. It will become an umbrella where it doesn't matter who sits under it, is going to be great. And honestly, I only applied for customer service. I was never going in for Business of the Year award. So customer service award we applied for. And my team actually, at that time, my team said, "We don't know how to do the application." And I know so I said, "Okay, I will do the application." And trust me, Jesse, if you have ever put an award application, you need at least 6 hours. It's nearly 18 pages and it's 6 hours.
Yeah.
And so in the end, I submitted, and then they called me back and they said, "You missed 2 pages." Are you kidding me? So we applied, we became the finalist. And I remember going on to the stage, and they said to us, when we were sitting in the award with the whole team, and we didn't think we're going to win, really. Among 300 businesses who were turning over $1 billion a year, there was no way that we were going to win. And we were sitting there. And they said, "Well, if you win, only one person can come up and take the award." And I said to them, it's like, "No, my whole team is going to come up." And they're saying, no, but the rule is, and I'm like, this is not a negotiation here. And it's because I'm nothing without them.
Absolutely.
And so I remember that we went up, we won customer service. And when they announced business of the year, we were just gobsmacked. Like literally 3 members of my team already left because they were working in the clinic.
Oh, wow.
We didn't think we will win business of the year award at all. And then we went on the stage again and they asked me that question. They said, you're business of the year award and you're the leader. And I said, no, it's my team. I'm nothing without them. I hand over my business to them and walk out of the door with the relief that they're going to look after my business. And I remember my team turning around to me and they said, no, Dr. Sonia, this is your vision.
Oh, wow.
We're just standing next to you with your vision and supporting you.
Oh, that's so powerful.
And that was the moment where I realized that I'm actually a leader.
Fantastic.
I clearly remember that moment.
Well, I remember hearing about that award in a different context, actually. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but we have a mutual friend, Deb Morandon.
Yes.
And she messaged me and she said, I just need to let you know that I've met the most fantastic dentist and she runs an awesome business. And I said, I know she's awesome. So I heard through that channel and she was there. She was there and she was singing your praises very loudly, which was fantastic. So there's been a lot in your life, Sonia. So obviously, it's a very rich and full life, coming from India without the language, having had a business in India, getting, through your first practice and then second and third practice, all the beauty pageants, and then, of course, going through the things you've been through. I want to ask you a couple of things. Along the way, I'm sure that you've made a few mistakes, like the rest of us. So I always say I've made more mistakes than anyone that I know. And I'm curious to understand or to ask, what mistakes have you made? But more importantly, what did you learn from that?
Heaps, Jesse. Heaps. Every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Me too.
In terms of you ask team selection, you ask patients, you ask treatments as a dentist, you ask, in life, I make mistakes every single day. And this is the message to everyone out there as well. What I have learned is have a solution-focused approach. And my team now is trained around that as well. So my team doesn't come to me saying, hey, this is the problem. My team comes to me, this is the problem, and we have figured out these 3 solutions. Do you agree with them? And I go number 3. So when I look at the problems now, my brain is so trained that I automatically go to solution. And I know sometimes people say that then that means you're not analyzing the problem, but I'm actually now analyzing a pattern, not digging too much into problem. The second is I have allocated myself hours. So I make a mistake and I hear about it and I can only sulk about it for 5 hours.
Okay.
So you have 5 hours. You can cry, you can whinge, you can fight, you can drink the whole bottle of gin. But then in 5 hours, you move forward and you try and find solution.
Yeah.
So I literally mark hours that, okay, you heard about it at 10 a.m. That's it. You have 5 hours.
Yeah.
So just do your whole coping mechanism and then move out of it.
Yeah.
So don't waste time. That's what I say. Problems are there. They will happen. They will always come in. There is no way you can eliminate them completely out of your life, but learn how to manage them.
Again, I really like the 5 hours thing. I'm going to say that I probably need a bit more time than 5 hours if I'm going to drink a bottle of gin because I think I'll be wasted for a lot longer than 5 hours. But no, I really do like that, Sonia. I think you've got to give yourself that opportunity to feel what you need to feel, right? Because we're all human. We all feel disappointment. We all feel frustration. We all feel those things. And that's normal. That's human. But it's also good to put a boundary around that and say, okay, I've had my whinge. I've had my anger or whatever it is. And now it's time to be solution focused. I really like that. What I'm also curious to ask you, Sonia, is again, over this journey, have you changed your mind about anything? Have you had to review what you once thought was true or something that was important to you and had to rethink that?
One was when I started buying the practices, I had a magic number of 25 and I bought 2 more, so 3. And I remember my son was 2 months old and I was lying in the bed at 10 o'clock in the night and trying to do payroll. And my daughter was 3 at that time.
Mm.
And then after a while, you have Dr. Harry Marget on your podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember.
And my ritual was every Thursday morning to listen to your podcast as I will drive to work. That's my, like, no one calls me. I will just ban all the phones. And in my car, I will listen to your podcast. And if it doesn't finish, I will sit in the car park and listen to the podcast and finish the whole interview.
Oh, wow.
So
Thank you.
I remember Dr. Harry Marget saying that, people have this chase of buying multiple practices. Imagine if you have a really solid base, one practice, and you put same amount of effort and money into one practice, what can you do with it? And that turned me around a little bit. And then I thought, hang on, let me rethink my whole philosophy again. So I did. And that's when I realized that, yes, now I need to actually rethink and focus on growing them organically, though the market says that it's not a great idea in today's market, but I'm determined that we can do it. And then wanted to live life a little bit more, travel a little bit more. And plus, I want to try few other businesses. I'm actually working on something in healthcare at the moment. So looking for more opportunities as well outside dentistry. Want to explore a different business world, which is more of a entrepreneur world. And it's fairly new and it's crazy. I think it matches to my personality. I was in Antarctic earlier this year and everyone was going to see king penguins. And I said, no, I want to see rock hoppers. And they said, what? And I said, no, I don't want to see king penguins. I want to see rock hoppers. And rock hoppers, Jesse, you fly from this little island, like it's a Fark Island. You fly from that island and you go in a helicopter and you go onto this cliff, which is 1,000 feet straight. And these little penguins, they come from the water and they hop on the rocks, 1,000 feet up.
Wow.
Just hopping. And these penguins have like very strange personality. So I sat there among this penguin colony and I don't know, I had this aha moment and sitting with one of the friends there on that island and looking at the water. And I said, hey, you know what? I have this idea. Let's do something. And it was mid-January. And then March, we formed a company and the company is still in pre-seed stage. We're lodging to patents around that company and we have already raised $500,000 so far.
Good job.
So just change, I want to try different fields, not just dentistry.
I think that's fantastic. Look, that's something that is near and dear to my heart as well, in the sense that, I love dentistry. Dentistry has given me a life that I could never have imagined possible, and I'm enormously grateful for dentistry. But it is exciting to look outside too, and to realize that there's this whole other world that's out there, and
we don't know about.
Yeah, and it's fabulous and it's fascinating.
It is fantastic. And a lot of learning, Jesse. I think it's just different kind of learning when you get out of dentistry. And I think I have a very clear demarcation between passion and obsession. So dentistry is my passion. Dentistry is my identity. Everywhere people know me as a dentist and as Dr. Sonia. But if something is obsessed enough that pulls me out of bed every morning, I want to do that.
Absolutely.
And,
I'm going to make a prediction, actually, Sonia. And I don't know anything about your endeavors in the rock hopper space, but here's my prediction is, A, I've got no doubt you'll make a success out of that business. That's my first prediction. But my second prediction is that your dental practices will benefit greatly from you going to do that, because I think it'll expand your mind, right?
Yes. What you learn from the other worlds, and if you come and you bring it to this industry, you can put so much into it. I think you just start thinking in a different tangent. You're not thinking like what other people are thinking, and I can see it. I can see a pattern, what other practices are thinking, what other practices are doing on Facebook. And, my team will come up to me as well and they will say, hey, our competitors are doing that. And I'm like, really?
Okay.
Do you think you have a competition? Like, no. And I'm not being I'm not saying that I'm turning a blind eye, but I just think you're not in a race with anyone. If you're running in Olympics and you're looking at the person next to you or the leaderboard, you've already lost.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. The times in my business life where I've come unstuck is when I forget to run my own race. And then if you run your own race, it's much more fulfilling. It's much more enjoyable. It's easier to focus. And speaking of focus, a little bird told me that you have a pilot's license.
I am actually in training, recreational pilot's license. Yes, I am in training.
Okay. So
Yes.
what do you love about flying? What is it about flying that has drawn you into that space?
Two things. I want to fly my mom, even if it's an hour flight.
Yeah.
I want to fly her. I'm not sure if she will agree or not to sit in my plane. She doesn't usually sit in my car saying you drive too fast. She thinks I fly it like I drive my car like a plane. So I don't know if she will agree to sit in a plane.
Oh.
But there is something when you have this bird's eye view. So there is something about it when you're up there in the sky. There is no disturbance. It's just so calm. But you can see everything. So what I mean to say is when you cancel all the noises in life, you will see everything. The amount of clarity you get, where everything is, where you're going, what you're doing is just powerful. It's just so powerful. And I'm hooked to that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, when do you think you'll have your license done?
I've been trying for a year. Like, and this is, again, I hate landing.
Okay.
I have few hours left. I think 11 hours I have to do. And most of the hours I have to do is the landing. So my trainer hates me because as soon as we go to landing, I literally go like this. I'm going to crash. I'm going to crash. I'm going to crash. I'm going to crash. And he goes like, just shut up. If you will shut up, you won't crash. So I have this, I don't go on rides either. I don't do rides. So I have this fear of landing that I'm going to touch the fence and I'm going to crash. So that's what I have to get over it.
I'm sure you will.
As soon as I finish those hours, I will get the license.
Well, when you get your license, I'll happily come for a ride with if your mother doesn't.
Oh, thank you.
I'll happily come for a ride. That'd be fun.
It will be super fun. It's super fun.
Sonia, you've been really generous with your time today and you've shared some really interesting and fascinating insights, not just into your life, but into how you've become so successful with all that you've done, not just in the business sense. Clearly, you've had tremendous business success, but what I really value and appreciate is you've had a very successful life. And I think there's a difference between success and fulfillment, right? And I think you've managed to achieve both. And firstly, I want to congratulate you. And secondly, I want to say thank you for sharing your insights today. If there's anything that you would like to leave the audience with as, parting thought or anything of that nature, what would be, I guess, the one or two key things that someone listening to this podcast might take away and go, that's the real pearls of wisdom from Sonia? What would be one or two things?
So I'll say two things, Jesse. One is I'll talk about when the times are not right. And I remember one of the line you say on your podcast a lot is when you're going through hell,
don't stop.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
I modified that statement a little bit. And I usually say that when you're going through hell, put the damn crown on and walk like you own the goddamn place.
Yeah.
Put your head up high and just keep walking. The second thing I'll say is you might have different meanings of success, but in the end, it all comes down to how happy you are. So people find reasons to be happy. I just go and find happiness.
That's really, there's a whole conversation. There's a whole podcast in that, actually, by the way. I have spent, actually, I don't think I've ever really spoken about this, Sonia, and I'm meant to be wrapping up here. I feel like I'm about to start a whole new episode. Maybe we'll have to come back and do part two. But for, I reckon, the last 10 or 12 years, I've been a very avid studier of philosophy, happiness, meditation, and I'm of the view, and this is probably speaking to your point, and I guess I'm just saying I agree with you, is that happiness is to be found. You don't have to wait for happiness to come to you, right? You go to it. And I really, really like that. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Sonia, again, I just want to say thank you. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I always feel like I'm the luckiest person on the podcast because I get to have some really fun and interesting conversations. and this has been a really fun and interesting conversation for me. So thank you once again. I'm tremendously grateful to you and tremendously excited about what lies ahead for you. Can't wait to see what the next adventure is and what you get up to, because it's going to be fascinating.
Me neither. Thank you.
All right. Well, so thank you once again, Sonia.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Savvy Dentist podcast with Dr. Jessie Green. For more free tools and resources, join the free Facebook group. Visit drjessiegreen.com/Facebook. And for more episodes, visit drjessiegreen.com/savvydentist.